Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into your sources to extract those crucial nuggets of knowledge, helping you become truly well-informed.
That's the goal.
Today, we're embarking on a particularly fascinating deep dive. We're looking at a practice often shrouded in, well, a lot of misconception and suspicion, the wash in the world of game dogs.
Right. For many people on the outside, just hearing the term, it conjures up images of mistrust, maybe dishonesty, or something that feels, I don't know, unethical.
Exactly, that initial knee-jerk reaction. But is that really the full picture? Is it nuanced? We're about to unpack this practice, figure out what's really going on beneath the surface.
And what's truly fascinating here is precisely how often a practice, especially one tied to a specific subculture like this, can be just profoundly misunderstood from an external viewpoint. It's frequently seen through, a lens of judgment, rather than looking at maybe practical necessity or historical insight.
Yeah, judging before understanding.
Exactly. So this deep dive into the source material, it should let us move beyond those immediate surface-level assumptions. We can explore the practical side, the historical context that actually shaped the wash.
Perfect. Our mission today is exactly that. Peel back those layers of rumor and assumption. We want to understand not just what the wash is, but really why it exists.
The why is key.
Tracing its historical roots, uncovering its true, maybe multifaceted purpose. Our main source for this is a really insightful excerpt from Richard F. Stratton's work, The Wash, Canine Care, and Contention.
Stratton, a very knowledgeable voice in this world.
Absolutely. And he directly challenges some of these deeply ingrained misconceptions, really inviting us to rethink our initial reactions.
It does.
By the end of our conversation, you might find your whole perspective shifts, maybe finding unexpected wisdom in something that first seemed, well, controversial. So let's dive straight in. Let's confront those initial widely held misconceptions head on. Let's do it. Stratton, with his characteristic forthrightness, starts by directly addressing what he calls the Humaniacs Perspective.
Humaniacs.
Yes, it's a term he uses. It characterizes certain animal welfare advocates who often view practices like the wash with a pretty strong sense of moral judgment, suspicion.
Right.
From their viewpoint, they frequently point to the wash as like irrefutable evidence of a fundamental lack of trust and even venality among pit dog men.
Venality, so like corruption or dishonesty.
Precisely. It isn't just a casual observation on their part, it's presented almost as an indictment. It implies that the very need for something like the wash signals a dishonest or morally compromised environment.
I see.
It becomes a central piece of their argument against the sport itself.
Right, so the narrative becomes, look at them, they're so distrustful, they have to bathe the dogs, to prevent cheating. It immediately frames it as shady.
Shady, suspicious. A desperate measure born of suspicion, like constantly frisking someone you're supposed to be working with. For many people, that's probably where the thought process just stops.
It does. It confirms a pre-existing bias often.
But is that really a fair assessment or complete? It feels like a jump to a moral judgment without really getting the context, the history.
Or the practicalities.
Yeah. It implies these individuals are somehow inherently more dishonest than people in, say, other competitive arenas.
Which is exactly the point Stratton makes. If we connect this accusation of venality to the broader landscape of human activities, well, we quickly see that methods for protecting against cheating, ensuring fair play, they aren't just in sports, they're everywhere.
Okay, give me some examples.
Well, think about professional sports. We have rigorous drug testing, right? Instant replay systems, detailed equipment specs, independent referees.
All checks and balances.
All designed to minimize unfair advantages, ensure the competition is decided on skill and effort. Are these measures taken because every single athlete is inherently deceitful?
Probably not, no. It's about the system.
Not necessarily.
No.
They're put in place because the stakes are high, human nature is, complex, and you need systems to uphold fairness for everyone involved.
Okay, that makes sense. What about outside sports?
Same principle applies in business. We rely on independent financial audits, legally binding contracts, regulatory bodies, strict anti-fraud measures.
Right. SEC, auditors.
Are these indicators that every business person is a crook? Of course not. They're pragmatic safeguards. They foster trust, prevent exploitation, ensure transactions are ethical, transparent.
Okay.
Or government. Intricate systems of checks and balances, independent oversight committees, stringent ethical guidelines for public officials. Again, not inherently condemning the individuals.
But acknowledging potential problems.
Exactly. There's structural necessities to prevent corruption, maintain public faith. So the wash, viewed through that lens, can be seen as a similar protective measure.
Like a standard operating procedure.
A standard, agreed-upon protocol, designed to ensure a level playing field, maintain the integrity of the competition. It's not necessarily an indictment of the individual character of those involved.
So it's more about the rules of the game, establishing clear procedures to manage risk, uphold fairness.
Much like a handshake agreement that's still backed up by legal documents.
That's a really insightful parallel. It totally normalizes the concept. It's not about assuming everyone is untrustworthy.
Not at all.
It's about acknowledging potential factors, human fallibility in any high-stakes situation, and proactively putting systems in place. It shifts it from moral judgment to practical precaution.
Precisely.
But let's get into another widespread belief about the wash. This one's tied more to that idea of, like, nefarious intent. I think a lot of people assume the wash is primarily, maybe exclusively, a defense against an opponent trying to sabotage a dog.
Ah, the poisoning theory.
Yeah, maybe applying some fast-acting noxious substance or poison to the dog's coat that the other dog might then lick off. That's a pretty compelling story, isn't it?
It is compelling, very dramatic, and it's easy to see why it has such widespread appeal. It plays right into that idea of secret sabotage, malicious intent.
Reinforces the negative perception.
Totally. However, Ralph Greenwood, who was a highly respected and a very pragmatic figure in the GameDog world, he offered a really concise and powerful rebuttal to this popular theory.
Okay, what did Greenwood say?
He famously quipped, and it's a line that just cuts straight to the practical truth. If you can't wash it off, your dog won't be able to lick it off.
Oh, okay, hang on. That immediately throws a big dose of practicality into it, doesn't it?
It really does.
Because if a substance was so potent or so rapidly absorbed or so resistant to water that a thorough wash wouldn't remove it,
Right.
then how could a dog realistically lick enough of it off its own coat to cause a serious problem, let alone death, before anyone noticed? Or before it just degraded?
It implies this almost magical, instant-acting poison that defies basic chemistry, basic biology.
Yeah, it sounds like something out of a spy movie, not practical reality.
Exactly. And Stratton, having considered this theory carefully, he tends to agree wholeheartedly with Greenwood's logic.
He does.
Yeah. He explicitly states that such an attempt would be very difficult to do without affecting your own charge as well.
Meaning the person trying to poison the other dog might affect their own dog?
Or even themselves, handling some incredibly dangerous, fast-acting, easily absorbed substance. The inherent risk to the aggressor makes it highly improbable.
Okay, the logistics just don't add up.
They really don't.
Yeah.
This immediate, undeniable practical challenge strongly suggests that, well, yeah, the notion of poisoning might cross some people's minds, maybe fueled by dramatic stories or just a lack of understanding.
It's far less feasible or effective than commonly believed.
Much less. The sheer logistics, as you said. So this practical impossibility leads Stratton to a pretty profound conclusion. The wash, rather than being mainly a defense against poisoning.
It likely originated for other reasons entirely.
Exactly. And this is where our deep dive truly begins, because it raises that crucial question. What are those other reasons? If not primarily poisoning, if not just indicating a lack of trust. What's the real story?
And this is where it gets really interesting. Because to understand those other reasons, the deeper, maybe more foundational purposes, we need to, step back in time.
A historical perspective is crucial here.
We need to put ourselves in a context that's fundamentally different from ours. For many, many decades, dog people, just like the general population everywhere, operated entirely without the medical marvels we take for granted. Specifically,
Antibiotics.
modern antibiotics. It's so important to remember that antibiotics, as we know them, only became widely available, routinely used after World War II.
That's a monumental shift, absolutely huge, especially concerning wound management and infection control.
Imagine a world where a simple cut, a scratch, could actually turn deadly.
It's hard for us to fully grasp now, isn't it? But it's a profound historical context, one that's often overlooked when we view these older practices through our modern lens. Stratton himself, having lived through those years, he vividly recalls the immediate impact antibiotics had. He notes they were considered nothing short of a great godsend by dogmen of the time.
A great godsend. Wow.
And this wasn't just, an isolated feeling in the dog world. Doctors, the general public, they viewed antibiotics with similar awe and profound relief.
Because before that,
Before antibiotics, an infection, even from what seems like a minor wound to us now, was terrifying. It could mean prolonged suffering, maybe limb amputation, or far too often a slow, agonizing death.
So their arrival was truly transformative.
In many ways, a genuine miracle,
Mm.
seemingly able to magically clear up infections that had previously been incurable. It completely changed medicine for humans and for animals, a pivotal moment.
Okay, so if dogs were somehow recovering and surviving before antibiotics, maybe a little longer, as Stratton notes, but still surviving,
Yeah, they clearly were to some extent. Yeah.
how did they manage it? What were the practical, hands-on methods those old-time dog men Stratton interviewed actually used? How did they treat wounds and help dogs recover when a simple bacterial infection was such a huge enemy?
That's a critical question, and it really speaks volumes about the ingenuity, the resilience, the deep practical knowledge of those earlier generations.
They had to be resourceful.
Immensely. Stratton was informed that the traditional methods relied on a careful combination of what they had available, what was effective then, primarily antiseptics, compresses, and warm poultices.
Okay, let's break those down. Antiseptics back then weren't like Purell or something.
No,
Right?
not sophisticated chemical compounds like today.
Yeah.
They might have been simple, readily available things, diluted salt water, maybe vinegar, perhaps a very weak solution of iodine or borax.
Stuff around the house or farm.
Exactly. Anything to kill surface germs, prevent the immediate growth of bacteria in an open wound. The goal was just keep the wound as clean as possible, minimize that initial bacterial load.
Makes sense. And compresses.
Compresses were used to apply pressure, helps reduce swelling, stop bleeding, but also to deliver that antiseptic solution right to the affected area. Think of them like tightly bound bandages.
Okay. And poultices. That sounds really old-timey.
It does, but they were effective. Warm poultices, essentially moist, heated dressings, often made from common stuff like herbs, bread, even simple flaxseed, applied right to the wound.
What did the warmth do?
The warmth would increase blood flow to the area, which helps the body's own natural healing processes. And the moisture could help draw out pus or impurities from the wound.
So trying to help the body heal itself.
Precisely. These methods, while slower, requiring meticulous constant care, they were the frontline defenses against infection. Keep it clean, promote healing via the body's immune response, because there wasn't any internal systemic medication like antibiotics.
Labor-intensive but resourceful.
Very, and often effective enough in that specific context.
That paints such a clear picture of the resourcefulness needed. It really underscores how vulnerable even minor injuries were. But what's even more revealing and directly relevant to the origins of the wash itself. You mentioned Stratton noted some striking details about the environment, the pit.
Absolutely. Stratton's observations here are key to understanding the wash's practical hygienic roots. He notes that the pit itself was often washed before rolling dogs or matches.
Washing the pit, the arena.
Yes, which indicates a pre-existing strong awareness of environmental hygiene, a recognition that the ground itself could harbor pathogens. It wasn't just about the dogs' bodies, it was sanitizing their entire arena.
Wow. Yeah,
And
fair.
significantly, dogs were not infrequently washed before rolls, too.
Before training sessions as well.
Yeah. So this wasn't solely about an opponent's dog or suspicion. It was a general routine practice. Ensure the competing animals were as clean as possible before physical exertion, regardless of who they were facing.
So hygiene was paramount.
And they took extra precautions. He mentions the pit was also sometimes covered with creosote.
Creosote, like the stuff they used on railway ties, that black tarry stuff.
Exactly. For those unfamiliar, creosote is that dark, oily substance, historically from wood or coal tar. Known for powerful antiseptic, disinfectant, even insect-repelling properties, widely used as a wood preservative and disinfectant.
So putting that in the pit was like heavy-duty sanitizing.
A very robust attempt to sanitize the environment, deter parasites, further reduce infection risk for the ground itself. It reflects the era's understanding of hygiene, even if our modern view of its toxicity has evolved.
Right.
And Stratton personally witnessed some of these meticulous practices back in the 40s, right when antibiotics were just starting to filter into public use.
So he saw it firsthand.
He did, which powerfully reinforces the basis for the wash as a fundamental hygienic measure. Developed out of sheer necessity, common sense care, in a world where minor infections could be catastrophic, far removed from being solely an anti-cheating device.
That paints a much clearer and frankly more empathetic picture. It was about preventing infection when infections were incredibly dangerous and treatment options were so limited.
Basic healthcare and risk mitigation.
Not inherent distrust or venality. But then, as Stratton mentions, these amazing new antibiotics, while a godsend, they also brought some unforeseen problems, didn't they? Complications we're still dealing with today.
They absolutely did. A classic example of unintended consequences in medical advancement.
What were the main issues?
Well, while initially hailed as these unqualified miracles, the widespread and often, let's be honest, indiscriminate use of antibiotics quickly led to two major issues, critical public health challenges now globally.
Okay, the first one.
First, and probably the most widely understood today, is bacterial immunity, or more accurately, antibiotic resistance.
Right, superbugs.
Exactly. When you use an antibiotic, you create this powerful selective pressure. Most bacteria die, sure. But any individual bacterium that happens to have even a slight natural resistance, maybe just a random genetic mutation, it survives.
Survival of the fittest bacteria edition.
Pretty much. And those resistant survivors reproduce, passing on their resistance genes. Plus, bacteria are really good at sharing these genes horizontally with other bacteria, even different species, using little packets of DNA called plasmids.
They share the resistance.
They do, which accelerates the whole process. Over time, this leads to increasingly resistant strains, making once effective antibiotics less potent, or sometimes completely useless. It's that escalating arms race we hear so much about.
Affecting both people and animals.
Critically, both human and veterinary medicine face this huge challenge.
Okay, so resistance was the first big problem. What was the second?
The second problem was far less understood by doctors and scientists at the time. Really, it's a concept that's only gained widespread recognition in maybe the last few decades.
What is it?
The existence and crucial importance of beneficial bacteria, the microbiome.
Gut health and all that.
Exactly. When we talk about beneficial bacteria, we mean the vast, complex ecosystem of microorganisms living within and on the bodies of all animals, including dogs.
Not just in the gut.
Not just the gut, though that's huge. They aid digestion, synthesize vital nutrients like B vitamins, vitamin K, break down fiber, but they're also on the skin, in the mouth, other mucous membranes. These microscopic communities are absolutely crucial for health.
How so?
They play a massive role in shaping and regulating the dog's immune system. They help prevent harmful pathogens from taking hold. They even influence mood and behavior through the gut-brain axis.
Wow. So they're really important allies.
Hugely important. But in those early days of antibiotics, especially the broad-spectrum ones,
You didn't differentiate.
no, there wasn't a nuanced understanding that these meds would wipe out vast populations of these beneficial bacteria right along with the harmful ones.
Collateral damage.
Massive collateral damage. Like, Stratton doesn't use this analogy, but it's like bombing an entire city to get rid of a few criminals.
Yeah.
They annihilated entire populations of these essential microbial allies.
And the consequences.
Well, disrupting that delicate balance of the microbiome could lead to other health issues. Chronic digestive problems like diarrhea or malabsorption, increased susceptibility to other infections because the good guys weren't there to defend the territory. Even skin conditions, allergies.
It's a whole cascade of potential problems.
Yeah, and it really raises that important question about how our understanding of health evolves, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes what looks like a perfect solution creates new, unforeseen challenges. It pushes science towards a more holistic, complex understanding over time.
It's a continuous learning process. Fascinating.
So the wash isn't some spy novel poisoning plot.
Not likely.
It's a profound historical health measure, even more critical before modern medicine. And even antibiotics, while revolutionary, had their own complex learning curve, revealing deeper aspects of health like the microbiome.
Now, despite antibiotics being available, despite understanding bacteria better, Stratton still strongly advocates for the wash. He notes it's still nearly always used.
He does, which suggests its benefits go beyond just pre-antibiotic infection prevention.
So what does this all mean for the dog today? What are its enduring practical health benefits in our modern world beyond just basic hygiene?
Well, that fundamental principle of cleanliness, it remains relevant, always, regardless of medical advances. Even with antibiotics available, one key, maybe overlooked benefit of the wash is simply washing off the mildest of contaminants from the coat and skin.
Just getting the surface dirt off.
Exactly. It's basic, but incredibly effective hygiene. It significantly reduces the overall bacterial load on the dog's exterior. Fewer bacteria on the skin means less chance of pathogens entering any minor scrapes, nicks, abrasions that might happen during strenuous activity.
A preventative measure. First line of defense.
Totally.
Yeah.
It doesn't rely on medication. It relies on physical removal. Think of it like washing your hands before eating. Simple act, dramatically reduces risk. Even if you can get medicine for food poisoning later, it's proactive health management.
That makes perfect sense. Cleanliness is always good. But then Stratton introduces this really compelling anecdote. Seems totally unrelated at first. Border collies. Sheepdog trials.
Ah, yes, the border collie comparison.
What stands out to you about that? How does it surprisingly connect back to the wash's broader purpose?
Oh, this comparison is absolutely brilliant, precisely because it provides this external, relatable, completely independent validation for the wash's practical benefits, specifically heat management during intense physical exertion.
Heat management, okay.
Stratton recounts watching sheepdog trials. They typically start with the great outrun. That's where the border collie runs huge distances, sometimes hundreds of yards.
To gather the sheep.
Yeah, flanks them, gathers them, expertly brings them back to the trainer, often over really varied, challenging terrain. It's an incredible display of canine athleticism, intelligence, stamina.
But incredibly demanding physically.
Profoundly demanding. And like any intense canine sport, or human sport for that matter, it carries inherent risks for the dogs.
Like what?
Stratton recalls this vivid, tragic example from his own observation. One fine dog perished from overheating during a trial.
Oh, wow. Died from heat stroke.
Presumably, it deeply affected him. Served as this powerful, sobering reminder that all dog sports have some element of risk for the dogs. It underscored that crucial physiological reality. Even the most robust, conditioned athletic dogs are susceptible to the severe dangers of overheating.
A real danger.
And he uses this to draw a direct parallel to our dogs, GameDogs. He remarks on just how bulletproof our dogs are, acknowledging their incredible stamina, their resilience.
They have amazing endurance.
They do. But he cautions that despite that resilience, their output in energy is at least equal to the running of border collies, and we are insufficiently mindful of the heat.
So handlers need to be more aware.
Critically aware. He's making a point about handler responsibility. He even calls out stupidities he's heard from some dogmen, like the dangerous idea that heat will bring out the quit in them.
Implying it's a test of character, not a physical danger.
Exactly. A totally misguided notion. He forcefully counters this with the stark reality. Even these incredibly tough dogs can succumb to heat exhaustion alone, often astounding the owner who just didn't grasp the danger.
Because the signs might be subtle at first.
They can be, then escalate rapidly. Heat stroke, organ damage, death. It's physiology, not character.
A powerful, responsible point. Handlers' duty of care. So how do those border collie handlers deal with this heat risk, and how does that link back to the wash?
This is where the connection becomes crystal clear. Illuminating. Stratton observed that to counter even the mildest of warm days, the sheepdogs are dipped in water, using the same type of wash tubs that are used for the wash with our dogs.
The same type of wash tubs for border collies.
The same type. Think about the implication. Here you have dogs in a completely different sport herding sheep. Different goals, training, culture. Yet they face a remarkably similar physiological challenge. Managing body temp during intense, prolonged exertion, especially when it's warm,
And their solution.
is strikingly similar, using the same kind of equipment, the wash tub.
And this isn't about cheating in a sheep trial.
Not at all. It's purely about animal welfare, performance optimization, preventing a potentially fatal physiological crisis heat stroke.
It's just common sense cooling.
Common sense, practical approach, using evaporative cooling to help them regulate body temperature. It validates the wash as a vital tool for canine care, not just hygiene, but crucially, thermoregulation in high-output animals.
That's amazing external validation.
It really is. And Stratton's wife's reaction when she saw this, it perfectly captures that realization, humanizes the practice. She was apparently amused, and she commented, "They're going to wash the dogs. Maybe this won't be so different after all."
That's great.
It elegantly shows the universal applicability, the common-sense nature of the wash as a tool for canine well-being across diverse dog sports. It transcends those narrow, judgmental assumptions.
That anecdote is so insightful. It completely reframes the purpose, practical heat management, overall well-being, far beyond just one sport or the narrow view of mistrust. Makes perfect sense physiologically. Okay, let's get practical now. How is the wash typically done? What's the actual procedure look like?
Okay, the procedure. Typically, it involves normally 2 tubs.
2 tubs.
Usually large, sturdy tubs, galvanized steel, heavy-duty plastic, big enough to fully immerse the dog. 1 tub is for the actual wash solution. Could be a mild antiseptic, maybe a natural cleanser, or just plain warm water, depending on preference and the conditions.
For the wash tub.
Right. The dog's thoroughly washed, scrubbed in this first tub. Head to tail, get the whole coat clean, remove surface contaminants, loose dirt. Then, after that initial clean,
Into the second tub.
exactly, transferred to the second tub, which is filled with clean rinse water. This two-step process is important, ensures any soap residue, lingering dirt, remaining contaminants get completely washed off, leaves the dog's coat really clean.
Wash and rinse. Standard bath procedure, really.
Pretty much. And here's another detail that directly hits that persistent poisoning misconception. Stratton emphasizes that the same tub is used for both dogs, as there is no worry about the dogs being poisoned when washed in the same water.
The same water for both
Like
dogs.
the wash water, yeah. This is a profoundly important point. If the primary concern was genuinely secret poisons,
Sharing water would be insane.
a catastrophic oversight,
Mhm.
an immediate deal breaker. The fact that the same water is routinely used for both competitors thoroughly discredits the idea that the wash is mainly an anti-poisoning safeguard,
It reinforces that the core purpose is cleanliness, physical prep.
not acting as an antidote or a toxin detector.
Okay, so it's a standard, shared, hygienic, transparent process. Makes sense. But is it an absolute, non-negotiable requirement every single time? Stratton mentions sometimes dogmen will agree not to do a wash.
Right, it's not always mandatory.
What circumstances might lead to skipping it, and what's Stratton's take?
He notes he doesn't fault that decision, especially if it's cold.
Weather conditions.
Exactly. In very cold weather, getting a dog thoroughly wet and then exposing it to that ambient temperature, it could pose a real risk. Chilling, hypothermia, significant drop in core body temp could be detrimental to health and performance.
So the risks outweigh the benefits in extreme cold.
Potentially, yes.
Hmm.
In those situations, the immediate benefits, hygiene, heat management, might be outweighed by the risk of cold exposure.
Yeah.
It becomes a practical decision, prioritizing the dog's immediate warmth and well-being. However, even understanding that, Stratton consistently maintains his core belief. He still believes it is better to wash the dogs, just to wash off the mildest of contaminants and to help prevent infection.
Even if they skip it sometimes due to cold?
Yeah, it reveals his consistent, pragmatic, health-first approach. He gets the practical reasons for skipping it sometimes, but still views the wash as the optimal practice for canine care, a preference for ensuring the highest level of preventative health and cleanliness.
Not a rigid rule, but a best practice.
Yeah, exactly. Informed decision-making based on the dog's welfare in the specific conditions.
That's a really nuanced and responsible perspective, balancing practicalities with the dog's well-being, environmental factors. Okay, now here's something that sounds a bit counterintuitive, but knowing Stratton, there's probably a good reason. He strongly recommends bathing dogs before a roll, especially if they're going to be a match dog.
Yes. Washing before training or matches.
Why? Seems like an extra step, maybe adds stress right before a key event, could disrupt focus. What's the hidden wisdom there?
It absolutely sounds counterintuitive at first. And that's why his reasoning is so insightful. It goes beyond the physical, delves into the psychological preparation of the dog.
Psychological. Okay.
He explains that a roll, the training session simulating match conditions, or the actual match itself, is often a new experience in a strange locale.
Right, unfamiliar place.
Imagine a dog that hasn't traveled much, maybe lives a relatively sheltered life, suddenly arrives somewhere totally new. New sights, sounds, smells, lots of new people, other dogs. That alone can be somewhat traumatic, disorienting for the animal.
Sure, sensory overload.
Then, on top of that environmental novelty, if the wash itself is a completely new experience, if the dog's never been bathed or dipped this way before, it can be quite disquieting if they haven't experienced it before.
So the wash adds another layer of unfamiliar stress.
Potentially, yes. Stratton has personally seen more than one dog spooked by the wash. Even good dogs, he says, who are otherwise solid performers. This spooking could show up as anxiety, resistance, just a loss of focus that could hurt their performance.
So it's not just physical cleanliness, it's mental prep and comfort.
Exactly. So his strong recommendation is incorporate the wash into schooling roles. Those specific training sessions designed to prep the dog for future matches, mimicking the whole match day experience.
Make it part of the routine.
Yes.
Yeah.
By doing that, you hit multiple critical points at once. First, you're still helping resist infection through basic hygiene, always good. But crucially, you are introducing the dogs to the procedure before the actual match.
Familiarity breeds comfort.
Precisely. This consistent positive exposure during training is key. Acclimatization. The dog learns the wash is just another predictable, non-threatening, maybe even pleasant part of the routine, like getting geared up for a run.
It becomes a conditioned response.
Right. And if done consistently, positively, Stratton observes, Most dogs get to the point that they enjoy it.
They enjoy it.
Yeah. It transforms from potentially stressful and unknown into familiar, even comfortable. A pre-activity ritual. This psychological conditioning is vital, reduces stress, ensures the dog is mentally ready, calm for the main event, not caught off guard by a weird new sensation right before performing.
That is incredibly smart. Shows a deep understanding of canine psychology, routine, positive reinforcement in high-pressure situations.
You really do.
It turns the wash from just cleaning into a psychological prep tool, minimizing stress, optimizing performance. Okay, so who actually does the wash at a formal event? And what oversight is there? Owners. Neutral party.
Normally, the standard protocol, which evolved for fairness and transparency, is that the handler of the opponent's dog washes your dog, or his second.
So the other team washes your dog.
Yes. The person handling the opposing dog, or their designated assistant, does the washing. This procedure is specifically designed to eliminate any chance for either side to tamper with their own dog.
Ah, reinforces that fair play idea again.
Exactly. Even if poisoning isn't the main concern, it builds trust, ensures the opponent has direct control and observation over the pre-match prep of your dog.
Okay. But Stratton mentioned a modification he liked.
He did. He considers it a good modification to let the owner wash his own dog.
Wait, doesn't that contradict the fairness thing?
It might seem to at first glance, but it brings significant benefits, especially for the dog. It can dramatically reduce stress being handled by someone they know, trust, have a bond with.
Ties right back to that acclimatization point. Familiar hand makes it less daunting.
Exactly. Ensures the dog stays calmer, more focused.
Okay, so if the owner is washing their own dog, how is fairness still guaranteed? How do you ensure it's done thoroughly? What checks are there?
That's where the other side of the protocol comes in. Usually, the owner of the other dog, the one whose dog is being washed, watches the whole procedure.
So mutual observation.
Provides that extra layer of transparency, reassurance for both sides. And while Stratton notes it's not usually necessary, meaning most people do it fairly without needing intervention,
There's a backup.
the watching owner retains the right to ask the person doing the washing, even if it's the owner, to wash a specific area more thoroughly if they feel it wasn't adequately done.
So you can speak up if you see something missed.
Right. It serves as that important right, ensuring thoroughness, fairness, accountability, even if it's rarely invoked. It's about having that option for oversight, ensuring integrity is maintained, reinforces mutual respect, adherence to the agreed procedures.
This deep dive has truly unpacked a complex, often really misunderstood practice. What started looking suspicious, the wash, reveals itself as something totally different.
Layers upon layers.
Yeah. Far from being some negative sign of mistrust or unethical behavior, it seems to be a deeply practical, beneficial, historically rooted practice in canine care and competition. So what does this all mean, looking back at our sources, the journey we took?
Well, Stratton's final conclusion really resonates now after exploring all these facets. Far from being a sign of the iniquity of pit dog men, it is a good thing for the dogs, and it just makes good sense for a variety of reasons.
And we've explored those reasons.
Meticulously. At its core, foundational hygiene, crucial in a pre-antibiotic world, preventing infection, promoting health when options were scarce.
Check.
Also, a critical tool for heat management, powerfully shown by that border collie parallel, a universal physiological need for cooling during intense work.
Check.
And, maybe less obviously, but just as vital, a key step in acclimatizing dogs to the unique pressures, unfamiliar environments of competition, ensuring comfort, reducing stress, preparing them mentally.
Check. Makes total sense now.
So this whole exploration, it really raises an important question for all of us, doesn't it? How many other seemingly controversial practices, maybe in specialized fields, maybe broader cultural traditions, might have deeply practical, beneficial, historically sound roots? Roots that are just misunderstood or misjudged from the outside.
Because of a lack of context or historical knowledge.
Exactly.
It's a powerful reminder. Context changes everything. Understanding the history, the physiology, the practical reasons, it can completely transform perception, turn suspicion into understanding, judgment into appreciation for a more nuanced reality.
Well said.
And that wraps up another deep dive. Today, we tackled the fascinating, often misunderstood practice of the wash in game dogs. We learned it's far from a sign of mistrust or bad intent.
Quite the opposite in many ways.
It's a historical practice rooted in common sense care, essential for hygiene, infection prevention, a crucial tool for heat management, and even a way to acclimatize dogs to new experiences. It's a practice that truly makes good sense for the dogs involved.
It's really a testament to how complex realities can get oversimplified by those surface-level assumptions, isn't it?
Definitely.
Taking the time to delve into the historical, the practical nuances, it often reveals a far richer, more logical story than the one we initially tell ourselves.
Absolutely. And that leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder. How many other traditions, customs, practices, in or out of dog sports, might we misunderstand or just prematurely dismiss if we don't take that time to deeply explore their origins and practical purposes?
Good question.
Next time you encounter something that seems odd, maybe controversial on the surface, consider the deeper, often surprising reasons it might exist before forming that final judgment. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Hope you're leaving a little more well-informed.
And with a richer, more nuanced understanding of the world around you.